This animal has no skeleton, no shell, and no fixed shape. It can transform its body to imitate predators, prey, and other dangerous animals, sometimes in seconds. And most of its neurons aren't even in its brain. By the end of this video, you'll understand why some scientists say this creature might be the closest thing to alien intelligence we've ever found on Earth. The Mimic Octopus was discovered in 1998 off the coast of Indonesia. It has no rigid structure anywhere in its body. Every cell is soft, flexible, and independently controllable. In under 3 seconds, it can completely restructure its shape, color pattern, and movement style to match another species. It doesn't just change color, changes form. When threatened by a damselfish, it flattens its arms and holds them rigid to become a lionfish, the damselfish's predator. When a different threat appears, it pulls 6 arms into a burrow and waves the other 2 in black and white bands to become a sea snake. It chooses the right predator for the right enemy. That requires visual memory of multiple species, threat identification, and physical transformation, all in under 3 seconds. 2/3 of its neurons are in its arms. Its arms are not just limbs. They process information semi-independently. People often call it the animal with 9 brains, 1 central brain, and large neural networks running independently in each arm. This animal shouldn't have taken until 1998 to find. It lives in shallow water, sometimes less than 15 meters deep. But it lives in muddy river mouths and silty estuaries around Sulawesi, Indonesia, places divers avoid because visibility is poor and there's nothing pretty to see. No coral, no color, just brown mud. Sport divers spotted it first, and word spread through dive magazines before science caught up. It took until 2001 for marine biologists Mark Norman, Julian Finn, and Tom Tregenza to publish the first real behavioral study, documenting something no one had ever recorded in any animal: the ability to switch between multiple different impersonations depending on the threat. Scientists gave this behavior a name: dynamic mimicry. And in 2005, Norman and Hochberg formally gave the species its own genus, the Moctopus, from the Greek word for wonder. Think about that timeline. We had already landed on the moon, mapped the human genome, and sent probes past Neptune, and we still hadn't noticed an animal doing something this sophisticated in water 20 feet deep, a few hundred meters from a beach. It wasn't hiding in some unreachable trench. It was hiding in plain sight in mud because nobody thought to look there, which raises an uncomfortable question. What else are we walking past? So what does this creature actually do? The confirmed, well-documented impersonations are the lionfish, the banded sea snake, and a venomous flatfish called the banded sole. But researchers diving in Indonesia have reported it going further, taking on the posture of jellyfish, sea anemones, mantis shrimp, and even brittle stars, though not all of these have been rigorously confirmed under scientific conditions. Here's what makes the sole impression remarkable. To become a flatfish, the octopus tucks all 8 arms flat against its body, flattens itself against the sand, and undulates forward using a swimming motion that has nothing to do with how an octopus normally moves. It's not wearing a costume. It's rewriting its own locomotion in real time. And the choice isn't random. When a territorial damselfish attacks, the octopus becomes a sea snake, because sea snakes are one of the few things damselfish are actually afraid of. That means the octopus isn't just scared and reacting. It's running a kind of threat assessment, identifying the attacker, recalling which predator scares that specific attacker, and then executing a body transformation to match inside a few seconds with no time to think it through the way we would. This is the part that stops marine biologists cold. Most camouflage in nature is static, a fixed disguise that always looks the same. The mimic octopus is the only known animal that performs dynamic situational mimicry, picking a different disguise for a different threat on the fly every time. Nature has plenty of shapeshifters, but almost none of them think the way this animal does. A chameleon changes color for temperature and mood, not to impersonate a specific predator of its enemy. A cuttlefish can flash dazzling color patterns in under a second, but it's not choosing to become a different named species. Even the mimic octopus's own cousin, the wonderpus, has similar coloring but doesn't perform the same range of situational impressions. What sets the mimic octopus apart isn't the disguise, it's the decision-making behind it, and that circles back to the 9 brains. In an octopus, each arm contains a dense cluster of neurons capable of processing sensory information and initiating movement without waiting for approval from the central brain. Scientists have shown that a severed octopus arm can still react to touch and attempt to grasp an object. The arm itself is carrying out part of the thinking. So when a mimic octopus flattens 6 arms into a burrow while waving 2 arms in sea snake bands, that's not one central command being broadcast to 8 passive limbs. That's likely closer to a negotiation, a central brain issuing a goal and semi-autonomous arms handling the execution locally, each one solving its own small part of the disguise. This is where it stops being a fun fact and starts being a real scientific debate. We've always assumed intelligence needs centralization, one command center, one seat of decision-making like a human brain. The octopus breaks that assumption completely. With most of its neurons living outside its central brain, some researchers describe octopus cognition as distributed intelligence, problem-solving that happens simultaneously in multiple places without a single control tower running the show. It's a fundamentally different architecture for a mind than anything in the vertebrate world. And here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Octopuses and humans last shared a common ancestor roughly 500 to 750 million years ago, a simple organism that almost certainly had no brain worth mentioning. Every path toward complex intelligence that followed was invented completely independently, on two totally separate branches of the tree of life. We didn't inherit our thinking from a shared smart ancestor. Both lineages built intelligence from scratch, using entirely different blueprints, and somehow arrived at comparable results. If intelligence can evolve twice from scratch in two completely different body plans, how many other kinds of minds are we failing to recognize simply because they don't look like ours? No skeleton, no cell. 9 brains, as people call it. Multiple species it can imitate, discovered by accident in mud less than 30 years ago. We still don't fully understand how the Mimic Octopus decides which animal to become in any given moment. We don't know exactly how much of that decision happens in the central brain versus the arms themselves. And we don't know how many other creatures out there are running forms of intelligence we simply haven't recognized yet, because we weren't looking in the right mud. If this is the kind of question that keeps you up at night, this channel exists for exactly that. Every week, we go looking for the creatures hiding in the parts of the ocean nobody thought to check. Subscribe to Nazo Diary, and next time we go somewhere even stranger.